Doom Patrol, episode 7? 7? Yeah, 7. Dumb Patrol. Or as it should have been called, My Bees. This particular episode, where did we leave last? Like, when we left last, like, Niles had just killed Cliff. And he threw Cliff into outer space. It turns out Cliff did not die. He ended up, he crash landed on Earth, which was weird because he didn't burn up entering Earth's atmosphere. So I guess his metal robot body is made out of a strong substance that can withstand that particular fire. He crash landed, and when he came to, he was just like, Niles called to try to kill me. I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. And he ended up walking from wherever he landed back to Doom Patrol Manor. There was a moment where he got stuck and he couldn't walk anymore. This guy rolled up on him. He asked to use his phone, so he called his daughter. He called, I believe he called the mansion or whatever. He wasn't able to get through to anybody. He started spazzing out. He regained the use of his legs again, and then he proceeded to walk back to Doom Manor. When he finally got back to Doom Manor, his daughter was actually at the mansion waiting for him. And then he was just like, what are you doing here, Clara? And then she said that, because remember, like, I believe it was 2 episodes ago, Cliff was looking for the videotape that showed what Niles did to him. It showcased all the horrible things that Niles did to him. Somebody mailed that tape to his daughter. His daughter watched the tape. She saw the footage, like the real footage of what really happened to her daddy. And then I guess she felt bad. She wanted to talk to him and make amends. So she went to Doom Manor to talk to him. So now the both of them are together, and we'll see what's going to happen. Rita, she, because she's doing the play. And she's still haunted by, the memories of her mother. Whereas, like, her mother traded sexual favors to advance her career. So she's still trying to prove that she can do something on her own without her mother, without her mother's help. In the play that Rita's doing, she's basically playing the bee lady, like this lady that owns like a honeycomb or like a honey hive. And she's supposed to shadow the woman, because she's playing her in the play. But all the woman says is that she told her, she's like, first of all, in the script, she's like, the only line that you have are my bees. And I guess what that means is when the town was being sucked into, the donkey dimension, I guess that woman just screamed my bees before everything disappeared. So that's all Rita has to do. But of course it's Rita. And she's awesome, and she's completely hilarious, and she's over the top. So she gets all dressed up in a beehive costume. She goes down to the woman to shadow the woman, and then the woman's just looking at her like, bitch, like, you don't need the costume. So they ended up having a conversation. And the woman's daughter showed up, and she was very mean to her daughter. She told her daughter, she was just like, make sure you take a jar of honey to your professor, so this way you can get a passing grade in biology. And then when her daughter left, the woman told Rita, she's like, yo, my daughter's dumb as shit. And then Rita got a little triggered. She was like, you shouldn't say that about your child because you don't know what kind of effects it'll have on her. And the woman was just like, look, the whole thing with your mom sleeping with producers or whatever, she didn't know at the time that her sleeping with random people would affect you to the point where you would have, like anxiety, and you'd have like bad memories and repressed memories growing up. She did it because she cared about you, and she was just trying to help you. She was trying to put you in a good situation for your career. And she was just like, it doesn't matter how much a parent loves you, they don't always make the right decisions, and sometimes they could be dumb as shit as well. And then she told us, she was like, what you basically need to do is you just need to like let your frustrations out. So since you're here to shadow me, regarding the play, she's like, go outside in the bee field, go talk to the bees, and through the bee, like say what you got to say to your mother through the bees. So Rita goes out and she does it. She's like yelling at the bees. She's talking to her mother through the bees. And then, she ends up going home. And obviously she still has like the bee costume on. So while she's going home, she witnesses a crime where TC from Black Lightning was getting robbed in the alley by some random dude. So Rita stepped in. She used her her powers, like her stretch powers. She knocked the guy out. And then when TC from Black Lightning was like, oh, you saved my life, Rita was standing there with the bee costume on and like the helmet and everything in like a superhero pose, and she was just like, be careful, citizen, or something. like that. It was very funny, and I think she's imitating like a DC, like an obscure DC character. I'm gonna have to research that even more, but and and they didn't. She didn't make a big deal over the fact that she was able to use her power, and she didn't have to really like go out of her way to try to use her power. So that was cool, and it looks like Rita is back on the path because she got away from it from a little bit. But it looks like Rita's back on the path of becoming a superhero. And in the next episode, hopefully she'll be out there trying to fight crime, but she still has the play to do. So when the play's over, then she can get to the superhero stuff. And then the main story of the of Dumb Patrol, the painting that had Mr. Nobody trapped in it got sent back to Doom Manor, and it was infested with a whole bunch of with like ants or some shit. I forgot, like pink bugs. I forgot what they called them. Ronnie, that's her name. Ronnie and Cyborg ended up coming back to the mansion because they wanted to talk to Niles about the whole robotics thing that and the stuff that happened to Ronnie. Cliff was just like, oh, Niles is in space. So Ronnie and Cyborg, they're just like, all right, so we'll just stick around. They're out there having dinner. Ronnie, Cyborg, Larry, they're having dinner because Miranda, the new Jane, she's an awesome cook. She's cooking food. She's meeting everybody and she's trying to learn the team. Miranda's very reserved. She's very like she thinks first. Like she's very cautious. She's not as sporadic as Jane is. And it's weird because Jane was they said that Miranda was the primary, Jane was the primary, and neither one of them have superpowers. Like all the other personalities have powers. Jane and Miranda don't have any powers, which is, unless floating out of a well counts as a superpower. So I'm trying to figure out like who came first here, but the thing is, I think the reason why Miranda was the original primary is because Jane was a child at the time, and Jane wasn't mature enough to be primary. But then when Miranda threw herself down the well, it forced like the actual Jane to to take over. So, but Miranda right now, she's the primary and she's the host body. So again, she's just going around trying to like learn the team. The crate arrives that has the painting in it. When they saw the crate, it was Ronnie, Cyborg, Miranda, Jane, and Larry. They opened they didn't even open the crate yet. Before they opened the crate, like this weird purple smoke came out of the crate, and then it got into their system, and then they started acting like they started acting weird. The magician, the bootleg Constantine guy, the magician guy, he showed up, and then he was just like, "Why did you guys open the box?" Because it specifically said, "Do not open." Now, in their defense, they got infected before they opened the box, but he said that these bugs or whatever, they're all over the painting. So because he said that Niles and I sent this painting to somebody, but because all these bugs were infested in the painting, the guy sent it back. So he was like, in order for me to stop these bugs, I got to kill their queen, and then it'll kill everybody else. But he said that what they do is they have a pheromone that like if their pheromone gets into your system, it makes you stupid to the point where you basically start acting on the dumbest ideas of all time, and eventually you'll end up killing yourself because you just keep making bad decisions and bad choices. So for some reason, Miranda was immune to the entire thing, and it was never explained why. But everybody else was affected by the by the pheromone, and they were spending the whole episode doing dumb shit. Larry, knowing that his family didn't want anything to do with him, knowing that he could get arrested, knowing that the government could come after him, he thought it was a good idea to go visit his grandson in the hospital. So he ends up asking Miranda if she can turn into the personality that can teleport. Now the personality was affected by the pheromone as well, so it was literally just Miranda who's the only person who wasn't affected. So Larry goes to the hospital, like Larry and Flint, that was the girl's name. So Larry and Flint, the Flint personality, they go to the hospital. The cops roll up on them. They put on lab coats to try to sneak through. That doesn't work either. And they almost got shot and they almost got captured. So they end up coming back to Doom Manor. Cyborg and Ronnie, while they were waiting for Niles, Cyborg was just like, well, since Niles is kind of a hack and he's not even a really good scientist, and I have some of the most advanced technology of all time, he was like, I'll just perform the surgery on you and fix your spine myself. And then Miranda was like, that's not a good idea. So so then after talking to bootleg Constantine, they then decided, they were just like, hey, I got an idea. Let's go into the painting and help this dude kill the queen. And then And then like Miranda was like, well, that's not a good idea because you guys aren't in the right headspace in order to do something like that. So of course they don't listen to her. They go into the painting, and then Miranda follows. While they're in the painting, they see the beard hunter, who's in there, and he was hiding from the pink bugs because he painted himself white, and I don't know how that shit worked. So they're in the painting. They're trying, like they end up, due to their stupidity, they end up getting captured by the pink bugs, and they got taken to the queen. The queen shows up, and then she had this device plugged to their brain, and then she said that this device, it's removing the stupidity from your brain, and it's being transformed into a substance that they call I forget, it was something jelly, like doom jelly, belly jelly. We'll just call it jelly. It was they were taking the stupidity from people's brains and turning it into like some jelly, some sort of like jelly drinkable substance. And when the queen drunk the substance, it made her fly. She ended up like levitating off the ground. And they never said exactly what the jelly like really does. It was something like some bio something. It was something like she said it briefly, but I was just like, I don't know what that means. So, but she had like jars of the shit of the jelly like all on the table. So she was just like, and once we suck all the substance from your brain, you guys will basically die. So they had all of them tied up. They had Boule Constantine tied up, and then she told everybody. She was like, first of all, because the queen was just like, I can sense. She's like, I'm the queen of bad ideas. She looked at Ronnie and Cyborg, and she was like, you two being together is a bad idea. She was just like, you think staying here is a good idea. She looked at Larry. She was like, you think staying here is a good idea, but it's actually stupid. And then Larry was just like, really? And then she was like, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the negative spirit. She told the negative spirit that staying with Larry was a stupid idea. And then, when she went to Miranda Jane, she was just like, for some reason, I can't get a handle on you. Like, you're immune to my power. And then Miranda transformed into another manifestation, the one that makes those sharp words come out of her mouth. And she punctured like the queen's waterbed, and then another manifestation shot electricity, and they basically killed the queen. So Miranda set her up, to get rid of her. She killed the queen. The bugs and all the bugs died, and then the whole gang turned back to normal. So now we're back at Doom Manor, and Ronnie and Cyborg ended up splitting up because Ronnie was like, look, I gotta go home, and then Cyborg was like, well, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait for Niles. When Ronnie left, she went in her pocket and she showed that she actually stole one of the jelly vials that the queen had. I don't know what Ronnie gonna do with the jelly. I don't even know what the jelly does aside from making the queen float, but I guess we'll find out because when Ronnie takes that shit, it's obviously not gonna end well. I said, and Cyborg basically just stayed at the mansion waiting for Niles to talk about the robotic situation. Larry ended up going to the hospital just to see if his grandson was okay. And they told, the nurse was just like, well, I can't divulge that information, but I will tell you, we don't release people from the hospital who are perfectly fine. So Larry kind of felt better in that regard. And then, like I said, and Cliff was, talking to his daughter, and Rita was out there fighting crime. so now, finally, and then Jane so then we go back to the underground where everybody in the underground, they're celebrating and congratulating Miranda on a job well done. And then Jane was like, I don't see what the fucking big deal is. She's like, I save you bitches like every week. And and then like the nerd, like the teacher, like the teacher woman, she was just like, oh, don't be a bitch, don't be a jealous bitch, Jane, or whatever. And then then when Jane looked around, she was just like, yo, where's Scarlet Harlot? And I'm like, yeah, where is Scarlet Harlot? And then they like nobody knew. So Jane went to go look for Scarlet, and because remember I said before, like every member of the underground has their own station, their own room, their own place that's like catered to like their personality. She went to Scarlet Harlot's station, and her station was closed. And then Jane was just like, that's weird. Why would her station be closed? So Scarlet Harlot is either locked in her own station or she's missing and her station was closed. And like I said before, Miranda's the bad guy. The end of the season finale will end in a fight between Jane and Miranda, fighting over primary, where Jane will win that fight by throwing Miranda back into the well. And, we're going to find out that Miranda's whole thing is she's trying to get rid of like what she considers the bad personalities for the girl. Like the personalities who aren't good for the girl are the ones that Miranda's going to try to wipe out. You know, and Miranda was basically the one that couldn't take it and like she killed herself, but now she's back with a vengeance and she wants her spot back. So she's coming for Jane eventually. You know, like I said, she's going to pick all the other girls off one by one. I think if at the end her big plan probably is going to be to kill everybody just so she can be the only person controlling that vessel. Period. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. You know. But now Jane, the investigation is on because Jane now realizes something's like really going on with this whole situation. And then finally, your boy Niles, he ended up going to like the Himalayas or like the deepest parts of like the mountains or whatever, basically where he met the creature that he slept with to have his daughter. And he went to like some fire grave looking thing. And I think he was trying to communicate with the spirit of Dorothy's mom. And then while he was trying to talk to the spirit of Dorothy's mom, the fire manifestation that Dorothy creates, the one that keeps telling her, you know, like you got to grow up and like kill people, he came out of nowhere and he was just like, like the mother is gone, Niles. I got rid of the mother and you're next. Dorothy will be mine. And then he said something like the mother's tribe or the mother's people, whatever type of creature Dorothy's mom is. I guess it's a curse where they have to carry the burden of living with this fire creature manifestation, and the mom passed the creature down on to Dorothy, so now it's her burden to have to live with this evil entity. And the only thing keeping him in check was Niles and her childhood innocence. So his whole thing is he needs to kill Niles. He needs to he said he already got rid of the mom, like he got rid of the mom or whatever. So he's like, next I got to get rid of Niles, and then after that Dorothy can grow up, and then when Dorothy grows up, I'll grow up, I'll be back in power, and then we can wreak havoc all over the world, and he'll control Dorothy and use her vessel to do his evil deeds. So the Niles started freaking out, whatever. He called Bootleg Constantine to him, and then he asked him, he was like, is this the call? And then he was just like, yeah, just give me one more day. And what he means by is this the call? Now that he knows that this manifestation has deeper roots and deeper connections to Dorothy's mom, and he sees that this is something that's just not going to go away. Like this manifestation is going to fight until it destroys everything. He basically told Bootleg Constantine, he was just like, now's the time. I need you to kill my daughter before things get out of control. And then he was just like, what are you going to do to my daughter? Then he was just like, don't worry, but I'll get the job. I'll get the job done. So so he's going to try to kill her now. And that's going to be weird. So so that was it. Let me know what you think's going to happen with every character. Like is Rita going to be successful in her heroism? Was I right about Jane and Miranda? What's Ronnie doing with the jelly? And regarding Dorothy and Niles, like what's gonna happen with that, because that whole thing is crazy. So thank you for tuning in. Click the notification bell so when I get so you'll get alerted when you get new videos. Leave a comment, like and or subscribe. Let's get a conversation started for the Doom Patrol, for Dumb Patrol. Take care, guys, and as always, I'm out this bitch.